Library and I want to borrow a book, but then suddenly I realized that I have forgotten my library card. I don't know the card number, I don't have any address proof with me. My pronunciation was clear, so I'll be getting full points in pronunciation, right? And I was very fluent with my answers, so full point here as well. And what is this thing appropriacy? Perfect. You see, I got full marks in content, full marks in form, grammar, and vocabulary. I scored full marks in every single aspect. Welcome back guys, Sunil here from Forever PT. So in this video, we'll be talking about PTE Core. See, most of the structure of PTE Core and PTE Academic is same. There are just 4 questions that are actually different. So in this video, I'll be explaining you those particular 4 questions. What are all the strategies and the tricks that I used in my exam and how I was able to score 90 marks in every module. So to explain you those questions, I'll just take you to my computer screen. Now, as you can see on your screen, here's the list of all the questions that you guys will be seeing in either PT Core or PT Academic. Now, the very first section that you guys will be seeing in your exam is the speaking section. That's on the left hand side of the screen. And there will be 5 questions. The first one is going to be read aloud, repeat sentence, and then describe image. The fourth question, that is retell lecture. This question will be appearing in PT Academic exam. For those people who will be appearing in PT Core, you guys will be seeing a question named respond to a situation, right? It's mentioned over here. Respond to a situation. And the fifth question is answer short question. Then comes the writing part. So for PT Academic, there are 2 tasks, that is summarize written test and write essay. For PT Core, the 2 questions are summarize written text and write an email. These 2 questions. Reading part is mostly same, and in listening there is just 1 question that is changed. There is summarize spoken text in both of the PT Core and PT Academic exams. It is just that they have changed the limits basically. I'll be explaining this limit as well in the video. And for PT Core, there is one more point. This question, which is highlight correct summary, is not there, right? So you guys don't have to worry about this particular question. So in this video, I'll be explaining you how to solve respond to a situation, write email, summarize written text, and summarize spoken text for PTE Core, right? So we'll start with respond to a situation first. Now I'll just quickly explain you what respond to a situation actually is. So for example, in your exam, like in my exam, I got 4 respond to a situation, right? So there are 2 main ways to solve this question. The first method is the one that is the genuine method basically Pearson wants you to adopt. And then there comes the second method that I actually did in my exam. Now let's start with the first method. Now before we begin, I'll just explain you what to respond to a situation actually is. So in this particular question, you will get a situation like this. You can see on your screen, you are at a library and you want to borrow a book. So the examiner, the speaker basically, he'll be reading out this situation since you'll be wearing a headphone as well. So you'll be able to hear the audio. I'll be showing you in a minute. And after that, you will get 20 seconds to think about the situation and what will you be responding in. So in those 20 seconds, you need to come up with an answer. And after that, you need to submit your response in the next 40 seconds. Again, you don't have to speak for the entire 40 seconds. You can take 20, 30, 35 seconds, whatever is necessary, right? Now, I'll just show you with a demonstration. I'm just clicking on restart button. So after, let's say 10 seconds, the speaker will start speaking this entire passage.
You're at a library and you want to borrow a book, but you realize that you forgot your library card. You don't know your card number, and you don't have any proof of address with you. What will you tell the librarian in order to get this situation sorted?
Right. So now you are getting 20 seconds to respond to this situation, to think about an answer, right? And the countdown you can see over here. So once the countdown hits 0, then the microphone will open and you need to submit your response into that, right? So I'll be sharing your response. So the genuine response will sound something like this. Hi sir, my name is Sunil and I'm a regular visitor of this library. But today I came here to borrow a book. Unfortunately, I forgot my card. I don't even remember the card number, and neither have I any proof of address with me. So is it possible that you can still let me borrow a book? I'll be thankful to you for this. Right. So this is the way Pearson actually wants you to respond to this particular question. But the problem with this method is that a lot of students will end up fumbling. Since Pearson is a fluency based test, and if you fumble in these questions, you will end up losing marks, right? A lot of students won't be able to come up with new sentences, so they will definitely fumble. So how can we counter this situation? So I'll be explaining you the method that I adopted in my exam, the way I solved this question in the exam. So I'll just hit this restart button again, and again we'll just wait for our turn to speak.
You're at a library and you want to borrow a book, but you realize that you forgot your library card. You don't know your card number, and you don't have any proof of address with you. What will you tell the librarian in order to get this situation sorted?
Okay, so now we have 20 seconds to answer, right? So what I did in the exam is I replaced this word you with the pronoun I, right? I'll be showing in a minute. So it sounded something like that. I am at a library and I want to borrow a book, right? So this way I solve this question. I'll show you in a minute. I'm at a library and I want to borrow a book, but then suddenly I realize that I have forgotten my library card. I don't know the card number, I don't have any address proof with me, and I'm requesting you, sir, please let me borrow a book. I'll be thankful to you for this, right? So I just replace the pronoun you with the pronoun I, basically, right? So I'm at a library and I want to borrow a book. Of course, you don't have to speak word to word. You can change few words here and there, right? But this is how I did all the question in my exam. I got 4 questions based on respond to a situation, and this is what I did in all of these questions. I'll be showing you with one more example. All right. So, for example, this is the question. Now let's wait for our turn.
You have ordered a product online, but the delivery is delayed and you have not received any updates from the seller. You are worried that you will not get your product on time or at all. You decide to contact the seller and ask for some clarification and compensation. What do you say to them?
Okay. So now we have 20 second. So I'll be just replacing this word you with I. I have ordered a product online, but the delivery is delayed. I am not receiving any updates from the seller. I am worried that I will not get my product on time or at all. I have decided to contact the seller and I am asking for some clarification or compensation. I am calling you to please solve this issue on time. That's it. Right. So this is the way I responded to the situation in the actual exam. I just replace the pronouns, and you can do the same way. You're good to go. Just be fluent with your answer. Do not fumble while submitting a response, and make sure that the pronunciation is clear, and you're good to go. Now, I want to explain you one more thing. I'll just take you to this community tab. Let me pull one answer over here. So, here you can see some enabling skills basically. The first one is the appropriacy, then comes fluency and pronunciation. So, what are these skills? See, since my pronunciation was clear, so I'll be getting full points in pronunciation, right? And I was very fluent with my answers, so full point here as well. And what is this thing, appropriacy? Appropriacy basically means is that whether or not you have spoken, you have given the relevant content or not. So how does the system know whether my content is relevant or not? See, system has different keywords based on the answer stored in the backend, right? So, what are those keywords? Keywords like product, online, delivery, compensation, clarification, right? And if someone speaks those keywords, they will get full point in appropriacy as well. And this is what I actually did. I didn't actually submit a good response, but I was just fulfilling the need of these keywords, right? And that's how I scored good marks in my actual exam as well, right? So you guys can use the same method and secure full points in respond to a situation. Now, this was all about the first question. Now, let's move on to question number 2, that is summarize written text. So you'll be seeing a question like this in your exam. It's a text basically, right? It's a long passage, or let's say two or three passages, and the examiner wants you to summarize these passages or a long passage in 20 to 50 words, right? You can use multiple line, of course, but the word limit is there. You have to write between 20 to 50, 25 to 50 words. You can write 25 words as well. You can go up to 50 words as well, but you can't write more than 50 words and you can't write less than 25 words. So I'll be showing you with an example the way I solved this question. Let me just pull one question from here. Okay, let's say this is question number one, right? So the one approach to solve this question is to actually read out the entire passage and then come up with a summary. But I'll be explaining you the method that I used in my exam. So I'll just pick one line. Let's say the first line, right? I'll be copying this line. Again, in exam, you won't be able to copy. You'll have to write these words manually, right? But over here, just to save the time, I'm copying these words. So I've copied the first line starting from Rosalind Franklin's contribution till the word scientific research. I've copied the line, and after this word research, I'll put a comma and write and. And over here, I'll be using one more line as well. This line could be from any other passage. Let's say this line. In the second last passage, I'll be copying this line from here, Control C, and I'll paste it over here. Again, in the actual exam, this copy paste thing won't work. You will have to type the answer manually, right? But over here, just to save the time, I'm using these copy paste buttons. And I will have to change this capital H into small h, backspace and small h, right? Now let's see how many words are there. So the total words that I've written is 44. And how many words are we supposed to write? Between 25 to 50, right? So I'm satisfying the limit. I can simply submit this answer. Click on submit. Let's select one option and perfect. You see, I got full marks in content, full marks in form, grammar, and vocabulary. I scored full marks in every single aspect. Over here as well, you can see all the enabling skills: content 2 by 2, grammar 2 by 2, form 1 by 1, vocabulary 2 by 2, right? I don't know why this application is giving me 9 over here, but since all the enabling skills are full, I think it could be a glitch in the application. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Again, you don't have to write the entire passage in one single line. You can use multiple line as well. You can use full stops in between, definitely. Okay, now let's move on to our next question, that is write an email. So what you have to do in write an email is you have to write a mail to the respective person explaining the points that are given by the examiner. For example, let's say here is a question. The question says the local sport association wants to promote the benefits and enjoyment of physical activity among the youth in your city. You are a student at a local fitness school and you would like to make suggestions to the local sport association. You have to write an email to Mr. Khan, who is a manager at the local sport association, and you need to give suggestions that how can you make physical activity more fun and accessible to the youth. And the suggestions basically they have to be based on these three themes: a sports festival, using social media gamification, community clubs and mentors, right? So in order to solve this question, basically you will get 9 minutes. Let's say if there are 3 emails, you will get 9 minutes for every single email, right? Let's say if there are 2 emails, so you'll get 9 minutes for every single mail. So in my exam I got 2 mails, and you have to write at least 100 words. The limit is mentioned over here. You should aim to write at least 100 words. Write using complete sentences. And one more thing, is there a maximum limit? See, in the actual exam, the maximum limit was not mentioned over there. But when I researched about this question, I went to the Pearson website, I checked out the questions that were uploaded by them. It was mentioned over there that you have to write a maximum of 120 words. So I would like to restrict you guys to write at maximum of 120 words. Do not write more than 120 words, and do not write less than 100 words. Okay, now let's talk about the template basically. So I'll just quickly show you the template that I use in my exam. So the template looks something like this. In the first line, you can use a greeting like dear, and then you need to put the name of the respective person to whom you're sending the mail, and then you need to put a comma, and then press enter twice basically. And then you can use a statement like this: I'm writing this email to, and then you can write down the topic sentence. I'll be showing you with a practical example, of course. And then again you need to press the enter twice. Then you need to cover the first idea, and then you can use this connector additionally, and then this finally idea number 3, and this journal line. I hope these suggestions are helpful. Please let me know if you want to discuss them further. Then you can give the closing statements, best wishes, and your name, and you're supposed to write at least 100 words. Now let's see with an example how did I actually solve this question in my exam. Now we'll start with the same template. I'll use the word dear here, dear, and to whom we are referring. This email is referred to Mr. Khan, right? So I'll use the same Mr. Khan, and after the name I'm supposed to put a comma, and then I need to press the enter twice, right? The next statement was, as per the template, I am writing this email to, and after that you are supposed to put down the topic sentence. So I am writing this email to. So what is the topic sentence exactly? You can find this topic sentence in the paragraph itself. So I'm writing, why am I writing this statement? Why am I writing this email? I'm writing this to promote the benefits and enjoyment of physical activity among the youth in my city. I just have to replace this youth with the word my, right?
Yo.
So I'm writing this email to promote the benefit and enjoyment of physical activity among the youth in my city. So I'll be copying this entire statement. In the exam, this copy paste button won't work, so you'll have to manually write. But over here, just to save the time, I'm doing this. So I'm writing this email to promote the benefits and enjoyment of physical activity among the youth in my city. Okay. So this is the topic sentence. See, you don't actually have to paraphrase the statement like the way we used to do in IELTS examination. This is nothing like IELTS. It is a totally different exam. And over here, these things actually work. You don't have to paraphrase the statement. Now, the next part of the template is you have to write down the first idea. You can start with the connector firstly. Now let's see how we can do that. So I'll just press the enter button again twice. Firstly, so what do we need to cover in the first point? What is the number one suggestion that we are giving to that manager is basically give 3 suggestions for the ways to make physical activity more fun and accessible to the youth. So we need to give the suggestions in such a way that it is showing that physical activity is a fun, and it can be more accessible to the youth. And one idea to do that is to organize a sport festival basically, right? So we have to write down a statement based on this. See, again over here as well, you don't have to write down complex idea. You can write down a simple idea like this. Firstly, I would like to say that we can organize a sport festival where student and children can participate. They can enjoy the festival. You can write simple structures like that. That will be completely fine. I'll just show you with an example. So firstly, one exciting way to make physical activity more enjoyable, and so in place of more fun I'm using the word enjoyable more enjoyable and accessible to the youth is by organizing a grand, a big sports festival. Right, full stop. Now over here you need to add one more sentence as well, since this much won't be sufficient. So while adding all the key points in this line, firstly, secondly, yeah, finally. So what I was doing in the exam, I was making sure that the word limit is sufficient. So I ended up adding two lines in every single paragraph. Full stop. Okay, so you need to write one more line over here just to satisfy the word limit. So I'll just add one more line. This T has to be capital. This festival could encompass a wide range of sports and recreational activities. Done. Full stop. So over here I have used a bit of advanced vocabulary, but you can use simple vocab as well. It doesn't matter in PTE, since you have to satisfy the computer with enough keywords. And if even if you write simple keywords like this festival will cover a wide range of sports and fun activities, rather than writing recreational activities, you can write fun activities as well. So that will be completely fine. And then we need to use this second connector, that is additionally, to cover the second point basically. So additionally, make sure all the spellings are correct. Additionally, so the second point has to be based on what? Using social media and gamification, right? So how can we use social media to promote physical activity? So this is what the point is based on. So I'll just show you with an example what we can write. Additionally, let's say another idea is to launch a, I think the time is up. Okay, so I'll just copy this entire thing and I'll hit the restart button. Okay, so another idea is to launch a social media campaign centered around fitness challenges and activities. Right, so this is our second idea based on this theme, using social media and gamification. Again, you can write simple words, you can write simple sentences. It doesn't matter in PD. You can write a sentence like this: additionally, we can launch a social media campaign which will promote physical activities among children. Right, that would be completely fine. Then the next point will be finally. Finally, so the next point has to be based on community clubs and mentors. Like, how can we use mentors to promote physical activity among children, among the local youth, basically, right? So we can write a sentence like that. Finally, let's say building a network of community clubs. We can open up community clubs basically, and mentors can play a crucial or pivotal, you can write pivotal role in making physical activity more accessible and, let's say, sustainable for the youth. Just make sure all the spellings are correct. Building a network of community clubs and mentors can play a crucial role in making physical activity more accessible and sustainable for the youth. SUSTAINABLE. Done, right? The next line will be, I hope these suggestions are helpful. Okay, so I hope these suggestions are helpful. The next line is, please let me know if you want to discuss them further. Please let me know if you want to discuss them further. And then we can sign off using this structure. Best wishes. We need to put a comma and then we need to write our name. So I'll just use my name. Let's say Sunil Saini, right? Okay. So do make sure all the spellings are correct, right? Because in PTE spellings matter a lot. Let's just proofread it one more time. So, dear Mr. Khan, I'm writing this email to promote the benefits and enjoyment of physical activity among the youth in my city. Firstly, one exciting way to make physical activity more enjoyable and accessible to the youth is by organizing, spellings are incorrect, organizing a grand sports festival. This festival could encompass a wide range of sports and recreational activities. Additionally, then we'll add the second idea. Another idea is to launch a social media campaign centered around fitness, challenges, and activities. And then the final idea, building a network of community clubs and mentors can play a crucial role in making physical activity more accessible and sustainable for the youth. I hope these suggestions are helpful. Please let me know if you want to discuss them further. I think everything is correct. Okay. Best wishes, and then you need to put your name. So I'll be attaching some common sign-offs and some common greetings with which you can start your email. But in both of the emails that I got, I have used the same structure, the same greetings basically. I use the word dear itself, and to sign off, I use this word best wishes. Now let's just submit it, and let's see. Okay, perfect. So I am getting 14 out of 15. Okay. So content well done, form well done, vocabulary is okay, email convention, you can still improve your email structure. I think the email structure is pretty fine. Grammar, it is saying that, okay. So it is showing an error basically. It is showing that I have to use a punctuation mark after my name, but you don't really have to do it. Like the way we do in IELTS basically is that we don't put any full stop or any exclamation mark after the name. We simply end it like that only. So in real exam as well, maybe there is a glitch in this application, but in the real exam, I didn't put any full stop or any exclamation mark over here. I simply put down my name. That's it, right? So this is an example of a mail. You guys need to practice few emails before you actually go to the exam. See, in the email, basically, the number one problem that you guys will be facing is the grammar part, and the number second is this idea generation. See, in PT, you don't actually have to worry too much about the idea generation. You can write simple sentences. The system doesn't know the sense. Uh, it is not like an examiner, the actual examiner, like the way we do in IELTS. Basically, you have to convince the examiner that the actual the sentences you are writing are actually appropriate. But in PT, you have to satisfy the computer. So in order to do that, you can use keywords basically, and this is what I have done. I've used these keywords: social media, gamification, so launching a social media campaign, then community clubs and mentors. These are all the keywords basically. So the system understands the keyword. So even if you're writing simple sentences using these keywords, you're good to go. Just make sure there are no spelling mistakes and the grammar that you're using is correct. That's it. Okay, now let's move on to our next question, that is summarize spoken text. I'll just select this option, summarize spoken text for PTE core, and let's start with the question number one, roles of technology. Okay, so in your exam you will get 1 to 2 summarized spoken text, and you have to write somewhere between 20 to 30 words. The limit is mentioned over here. 20 to 30 words you are supposed to write. In PT Academic, you have to write 50 to 70 words. In PTE Core, you have to write 20 to 30 words basically. And you'll be getting 8 minutes to finish your task. So, what actually happens in summarized spoken tests is you will hear an audio, and after listening to that audio, you need to write down few points while you are listening to that audio. You can write down the phrases, you can write down the entire line, and then based on that, you need to come up with a summary. I'll just quickly show you with an example. Let's click on the restart button over here and let's make the notes.
In today's world, technology's impact on education is undeniable. Integrating digital tools into the learning process has revolutionized how we acquire knowledge and skills. For instance, online learning platforms have made education accessible to a wider audience, breaking geographical barriers. People from remote areas can now access courses from top universities, bridging the gap between different regions and communities. Additionally, technology has enabled personalized learning experiences. Educational software and applications can adapt to individual learning styles and paces, catering to the unique needs of each student. This approach fosters a more inclusive and effective learning environment, accommodating diverse learning abilities and preferences. In conclusion, technology's integration into education is not just a trend but a significant evolution in the teaching and learning process, offering accessibility and personalization like never before.
Okay, so this is it. So these are all the keywords that I was able to write. Now we just need to pass them in few sentences. So in my exam, I got two summarized spoken text, and I passed them in two sentences basically. I'll just show you with an example. So I'll just simply start with this phrase only. You don't actually have to use a template for this. You can, if you can make sentences on your own, that would be better. I'll show you an example with template as well, but for now I'll be making the sentences entirely based on these phrases. So technology, so it was technology's impact on, yeah, it was is undeniable on education. It was, I was not able to write that word. Technology's impact on education is undeniable. Again, you need to make sure that all the spellings are correct. Now I'll just combine this sentence with one more phrase. Over here I was not able to pick. Then there is one more phrase: online learning platforms have made education more accessible to a wider audience. I'll use that sentence over here. So I'll use a connector and online learning platforms have made. Again, there is no need to paraphrase. You can simply mention the words that you have actually heard. Have made education accessible to a wider audience, and full stop, right? So we are done with the first sentence. Technology's impact on education is undeniable, and online learning platforms have made education accessible to a wider audience. Then we need to write down one more sentence. So the next phrase was personalized learning experience, unique need. This approach fosters and effective. I'll pick this sentence, the last one. So I'll use this structure in conclusion, comma, this approach fosters an effective learning environment, right, full stop. Now let's see how many words are there. I'll just cut this thing. So now I have written 27 words basically. In my exam, I still remember in one summarized spoken I wrote 29 words, and in the other one I guess it was somewhere around 26 words, right? So we are well within the limits. We are supposed to write 20 to 30 words, and I've written how many? 27 words. Just make sure all the spellings are correct. Technology's impact on education is undeniable, and learning and online learning platforms have made education accessible. Spellings are correct, accessible to a wider audience. In conclusion, this approach fosters an effective learning environment. Okay, I'll just submit it and let's see our scores. Okay, perfect. So I have scored 2 by 2 in content. In spelling, I got 2 by 2. Form basically means that whether or not I have written words between 20 to 30. So this is something that is corresponding to form. Let's say if you're writing less than 20 words, so 1 mark will be deducted from here. And same thing if you're writing more than 30 words. Grammar is fine, vocabulary range, so they have given me 1 mark out of 2, but I think that is perfect. In real exam, since I've scored 90 out of 90, see, the same thing that I told you earlier, these applications, they have limitations, but in real exam, if you pick these many words, this much would be sufficient for you to score 90 as well, right? Just make sure all the spellings are correct and the grammar portion is correct as well. Now let's talk about the template as well. Do you need a template for this task? I don't think you need a template, but for those people, let's say, who need a template, they can use this simple structure. Let's say the lecture was about, and then you can put down the topic name basically, and then you can give a conclusion. In conclusion, you can write down one more sentence, or in place of a conclusion word, you can write down another connector, that is finally, right? So this structure would be enough for you guys. You can follow this structure, just make sure the spellings are correct, and do not write more than 30 words. You can write up to 30 words, meaning if you write 30 words as well, no marks will be deducted. So this is a template that you guys can use, and if you can write without using any template, even that is fine. Alright guys, so that is all in this video. I hope you really enjoyed this session. If you guys need any further assistance or any sort of classes, you guys can contact us on the numbers mentioned below. We'll be there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next session.